Good evening, everybody. Good evening to SBC and SBCC and every point in between. Welcome to the January 26th edition of Tuesday Talk. Be glad to have you here. And I am your host and moderator, Mike Walker of Birmingham, Alabama. And I will ask that the panelists introduce themselves, starting with Keena. She's grinning for some reason. Keena, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Keena. I'm calling from, or I'm here in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm 42 years old, and I like to be here. And I'm a bit of a nerd and a history buff and a news buff and political buff. So that's me.
You say you calling from Mississippi?
Calling. I mean, yeah. I'm calling y'all.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's about it about me. So take it over to
Reginald. Yeah.
Reginald.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Reginald Waters. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I'm currently at age 58. I'll be 59 on Thursday. And I'm an associate minister at the New Lowell Missionary Baptist Church here in Columbia, South Carolina. And, just happy to be here.
Tia?
Hi, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and 44.
Okay. Steve?
Good night, everybody. I'm Steve. I am from a small island in the Caribbean called Antigua. I love being on this show. I love this group entirely. And I give my all every time. So to everybody listening, enjoy tonight.
VL?
My name is Victor Lewis Foyles. I'm in Chicago, 51 years old. Just love always having the opportunity to minister to unmarried people.
Okay. And let me see, Victor. Nick?
How y'all doing? I'm Nick. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, 43. Just happy to be here and, talk about the Lord, talk about Christian issues.
Okie dokie. Like I said, there was your panelists. Glad to have y'all here, and we appreciate it. And we have a few salutations from the listening audience. Yeah, glad to have you here, Shay. Glad to have you here, Tiffany. Hey, Katie. And see, Pastor. We'll tell you, Joy. Michael. Hey, Shannon. Jenna. I think that's about it for now. Okay, so wait one. Let me see. Wait, who else? Yeah, okay, and that's about it. So, as you know, and I think this can be a historic edition of Tuesday Talk, because I think this will be the first time that we've done a crossover from another SBC show. As you know, if you tuned in Saturday night to Shoot Your Shot, we had an intense and fun conversation concerning flirting. Okay. And it was good. We had 2 topics and ended up with 3 topics. We had a good time. And just in case you missed it, here's just a tiny 6 to 8 second snippet.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I am a terrible flirt. I'm a terrible flirt. I'm one of those people who I'm not really. I play a lot, so sometimes I don't necessarily know that someone's flirting with me because I just like to have fun. And there are times when people think I'm flirting, and I'm not. I'm just having fun. And then I've had times where there's someone that I'm really intrigued with, and I'm one of those who's like, only thing I can think of is like, do you eat bread? You know what I mean? Like I can't, you know, like I can't. You know, I'm just being honest. I'm a terrible flirt, but then I don't know. So I'm just going, you know, I'm just saying.
Well, I have to agree with Jelly. Like I have that personality that's kind of the same, where it can kind of come off one way or the other. But I always say if I fish for information, that's my cue that I'm flirting. If I'm just having a conversation about whatever's going on in the moment, then it's just being nice. So it's kind of my bridge.
So that's just a little snippet from this past Saturday's edition of Shoot Your Shot. So it leads to tonight's I guess it's a continuation, and it's called The Principles and Methods of Flirting. The Principles and Methods of Flirting. Sound like a sermon, don't it? Or at least a Sunday school lesson anyway. So basically, and again, it's pretty much saying, how do you flirt? You know, what is your principle behind flirt? Well, we know why you're flirting, but what's your principles? What are your methods? And I think Keena would like to start.
Well, flirting for me is hard because intentional flirting for me is hard because I can laugh and joke and kiki with you all day long, but I may not be interested that way, liking you like that. But intentional flirting, I start getting the giggles. You know, I may laugh a little bit. I don't know. I may crack a few jokes, but I think I have a flirtatious nature, but I don't mean any harm by it, if that makes any sense. And I'm a little slow, okay? You're going to have to hit me over the head. It's like, hey, girl, I want you. You're going to have to do that for me because I'm not going to know. I have slid in inboxes, and it has been awkward for me. So maybe I can get some tips too, because I want to learn as like everybody else. How was that hey? How did you say that hey? How did you write it? When you dipped in that inbox.
So, but do you think it's an art in the slide into someone's inbox? You know,
yes.
Is it a certain? Okay.
Yes, I mean, if you say hey, I mean, for me is I don't know what to do with that, and I've given hey as well, but I had somebody slide in my inbox, and he was like, oh, complete sentences here. You're not being, you're not saying anything about my face or saying, hey, beautiful, or anything like that. You're saying, hey, I would really like to get to know you. I am a straightforward person. Just say it. I don't beat around bushes. I like you. You bring your conversation is interesting. I would like to get to know you better. If not, if this is not a romantic thing, then I've gained a new friend.
Oh, okay. Okay, and you see what did she say? Yeah, Jenna Morgan. I'm with Keen on that. How do you say that? Hey, and Sherry says subtle glances across the room. Let's stay right there. What is a subtle glance? How do you do your subtle glance? And I'm just asking this in general.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now, do any of the fellas do a subtle glance though? Or y'all wait for her to give y'all the glance?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't really do a subtle glance or anything like that. I'm fairly, I guess I'm fairly, well, I'm nonchalant, but I can be straightforward with what I want. So, I flirt, but I don't, no subtle glances or anything like that. No. It's usually just playful behavior.
Oh, okay. My caller says I just smile and say hello and be approachable if the conversation go from there. Okay. And Shannon says flirting is definitely an art form. It lets someone know that you are interested. Okay. And Sherry says, I slid in and slid out when I realized that he thought that I was, too old for them.
Wow.
Okay. And Jelly says, right, I'm not going into anyone anymore inboxes. So let me know when it works. Okay. So anyone else want to tackle? What's your method of flirting?
I'll jump in. It's funny because before I got saved, which is eons ago, I probably was a better flirt than after getting saved. I think these days I'm more direct and more intentional and let it be known that I'm interested. I feel like women, they want, that clear message and that assertiveness. So I just come straight in through the front door and let them know I'm interested. It has worked when I worked it.
Okay. Anyone else? No one else?
Steve.
Yeah. Flirting should be straightforward. I don't know how anybody else see it, but I see it as being a little sexual, but not disrespectful. We all know it should be intentional. So it's more like you gotta it. Someone said that it was an art form because you gotta your gesture, your everything should match. You should be able to send that energy even just the way you're looking at the person, or even if you're not looking, just the way how you're speaking, that should give them, it should just set an atmosphere. It's like, you know pinpointing something, like looking at them, seeing something that they're doing, and say it to her in a way that makes goosebumps. So flirting is an art form, yes, and it should be intentional. You should get your point straight across. There's no need for wasting time.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Jelly says, I'm only used to the Christian max. How do the regular Christian men flirt? I want to be able to recognize the real. But is there a difference between, except for the obvious though, but is there a difference between I guess, a Christian flirt and a non-Christian flirt?
I don't feel like it is.
Wait. Keena, you were
Oh,
going to town and you were
yeah.
muted.
I was going. I don't even think that's what she meant. I think what she meant is a Christian Mac is one of the men that they have women in every church in town, and they use some of the same tired lines from church to church to church, and then you're trying to, with the machete, get through the bull crap trying to get to the real. So how do you differentiate between a Christian player and a Christian man who wants to seek purposeful relationships?
Okay. Okay. VL, who's VL? Were you talking, or was that Reggie? Okay.
I just think for me, it's the whole thing of I don't think it's a difference. The content is different. The approach may be the same.
Mm.
Both going to be direct. They're going to get a message across. It's how they get across that may make a difference. And so for me, it's kind of a funny thing. I remember I had a buddy who, once I moved to Chicago, I made comments about the women in my church. He was like, bruh, you know, you going to holler at them? I was like, bruh, worshiping God, that's not the time and place, you know, to be trying to holler while they got their hands lifted up. So I think there's an awkwardness that exists. Now my buddy's philosophy is he don't care. He'd be like, okay, hey sister, let me get up beside you, put my hands up, and hallelujah, hallelujah. What's your number? So
Wow. Wow.
I think it's just I think it's one of those awkward things when it comes down to flirting for us because I think flirting has been associated with lust sometimes for people, and so we're kind of low. If you even look at our comments, we all said we're intentional because you kind of look at it almost in a negative light. So
What
Go ahead, Nick.
no, I was gonna say I want to talk about that too. Because VL talked about something in the end, and so did Steve, and so did everybody else talked about being intentional with your flirting. I don't know. I've always sort of been a flirtatious person, and I've always been around flirtatious people, and it wasn't always necessarily intentional. It's a lot of times, like I said, a lot of times it's very playful, and I used to joke with people at my job all the time that that the new fellas they need to be careful because the women will smile in your face and they might flirt a little bit and stuff, but they don't want you. They just being nice. They just that's just how they talk. So you mess around and you listen to somebody smiling at you and saying you look good today, and they might say you look like a snack or whatever, and you thinking that she wants you and she don't. That's just the way she speaks. That's just her language. Not saying that she's trying to get with you or anything like that. And I think it's funny because, like you said, as Christians, when people start flirting with us, we take that as being very intentional with the flirtation. That people, they must have a deep interest in me, and some people just speak like that. I used to flirt with a lady at my job simply because she had a sad disposition all the time. She was very hard on herself and how she looked. So I used to flirt with her and tell her she was beautiful all the time. To the point where I think she kind of halfway thought I might, but she knew, I didn't. But at the same time, I played like, yeah, it was a chance. I used to joke with her that I was gonna propose to her as soon as we quit the job. I said to say that, like I said, flirtation is not always going to a relationship level. Sometimes people just flirt because that's how they talk, this is how they play. Now everybody doesn't play that way, and you have to be cognizant of who you're talking to and the situations you're in and who you can do that with and who you can't.
Absolutely. Sonolia says, I don't think I know how to church flirt. Trying to be with a man over in church is harder than when I was in the world. And wait a minute. And Jenna says, not hallelujah. What's your number? Okay. Yeah. Intentional versus non-intentional. But now Sherry asks a interesting question. So how does the Christian male make his interest known to the Christian woman? How does this approach differ from the non-Christian?
I don't think there's no difference either way. I mean, talking about a man and woman, I mean, it's religion should not even come into that program. For me, for example, first of all, I got to have some type of attraction to anybody that I flirt with. I'm not just going to flirt with somebody I ain't got no attraction to, number one. And number two, I'm going to use an icebreaker. And if she responds back, that's good. If she doesn't respond back, that's good as well. But then I pick up on a vibe, how she's responding to it. Her body language, her eye contact says a lot. You know, you can tell when a woman's not interested. They'll let you know. By words they use or their body language speaks for itself. So you have to be able to determine that in the first place. Now, as far as being in the sanctuary, there's a time and a place for everything. If you want to flirt with somebody, do it off church grounds. You know, in a parking lot, because too many people use the fellowship moment for more than the fellowshipping. I mean, I've gotten reports where women have really been upset about the fellowship moment because a lot of some men take that little few minutes that we have when we go around and shake hands. They be doing more than shaking hands, and so you have to respect God's house. Now, you could do it in a parking lot, or when your ministry, if you like somebody in your ministry, for example, when you guys meet, that's a nice time to do an icebreaker. Like, I like the way you did your hair today. I like the way that you look in your dress. I like your earrings. I like your shoes. Anything that kind of breaks the ice, and see how she responds back. And if she responds back in a nonchalant, I really don't want to feel like being bothered, then move on. But an icebreaker, I think, is always the best way to kind of fill out the atmosphere between you and that person.
Reggie, I tend to think that the challenge sometimes with a compliment, something you can admire, but sometimes people take the compliment as you're flirting or you have interest in them, and you have no interest whatsoever. They may have something on that just that's most notable, that's worthy of a compliment. And so, sometimes I feel like it's dangerous sometimes in giving compliments, because sometimes in the past, the females thought I was trying to holler, and it's like, nah, you sister so-and-so, we cool, but that's it.
Carla says the respect level just may be different because it's not about the body connection. It's more about if your spirits connect and if you fit into his vision and purpose as a wife/relationship.
Can we give her an offering?
Yeah, we'll send her an offering. We'll send her an offering right there. And right here, Candida says, I flirted for fun to pass time at work back in the day. If I was really interested, you'd know. No one, let's stick right there. Are you sure they would know, Candida? Are you sure? Because there have been plenty of times someone was, I guess, quote, play flirting with us. And I could speak for myself. I didn't know the difference. That's why I get a little, like I said, Saturday. The ones that may have been flirting with me, I didn't realize it. The ones I thought was flirting with me, they were just being nice or playing around or whatever. So, how would they know? I mean, well, know what? Better yet, Candida, what's the difference between your play flirt and your real flirt?
I think if play flirt is like you tease, playful tease, Well, if I'm really flirting with you, I'm trying to get to know you. I'm gonna ask questions about you. I'm going to ask what your favorite subjects are. That's real flirting. But for me, but for like flirting, it's like, hey, big boy, come on over here. Use those big muscles and pick that up. That's cute, playful job flirting. I miss. You know what I miss? And the ladies are gonna attest to me that I miss gas station man. Remember gas station man? You would meet him at the gas station. He would walk up to you. He's like, "Hey, sweetheart, somebody like you should be pumping your own gas." And he starts pumping your gas. The conversation starts. You slide those digits. He slides his digits, and then you hang out. What happened to that?
Gentlemen, can y'all answer that question?
What's 2021? You can't just walk into people's cars, but I don't know. It ain't gonna quite work. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3", 300 plus. I'm not gonna walk in their car and say, "Hey, girl, you should be pumping that gas." Like, I'm like, whoa, yeah, it's a different age. And COVID time too. Oh, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one, Keena, but I mean, please don't.
But Nick, you bring up a good point, Nick, because I feel like on the job with having had civil treatment, I just don't flirt whatsoever when it comes down to the workplace. I just don't do it. I just think I don't think that's advisable in this culture. I don't think that's wisdom to even flirt on the job whatsoever. It's my personal belief, but it's also the fact of civil treatment and stuff like that, because it can make that person feel uncomfortable. And so, and because there are laws, the sexual harassment laws that's in all 50 states that will pretty much kind of prohibit us from flirting on the job. Though people do it, I just wouldn't do it.
And I was gonna say that's the scary thing. I talked to a woman the other week at my job, and she's a pretty girl, and these guys are coming to her, talking to her, and I talk to her too, but I'm not talking to her like that. I just joke with her and move on. And they are saying things, and I didn't know what things they were saying, and when I heard it, kind of made me a little tight. And I said, "Well, you talk to them about it?" And then she said, "Well, yeah." She checked them, and I said, "Okay, well, if they keep going, you need to go talk to management about it, because people think they're flirting, and then like you said, people think they're flirting. I think they're doing something innocent, and it's just inappropriate, because they don't have that, threshold. They don't understand the difference. They think like they're on the streets, and like VL said, you're on the job, and you kind of have to be careful,
And the things we did 20 years ago at the workplace, I'm just talking about the innocent stuff.
Yeah.
That won't fly these days.
No.
Where you work and where you serve, meaning church, I think those are two areas you probably should stay away from as far as trying to hook up. Because if things go south and you got to work with that person every day, or you at the same church, that could be a very sticky situation. So I would advise against it. I mean, there are couples that have met at church and married for years. There's couples that met on the job that has met for years, but that's a rarity. That's an exception. But for the most part, you mess with somebody that you work with, that could be a very sticky situation, especially if you're arguing and you're trying to you're on a workroom floor and there's some animosity between the two. Nah, that's not good, because coworkers gonna pick up on it, and your business gonna be in the street. Church-wise, unless you plan on changing your membership and going somewhere else, that could be a very, especially if it's a bad breakup. So I just tend to not to do that in either of those places.
So I think, thanks, Shannon. I think that it depends because prior to COVID, I joined. My church doesn't have a singles ministry, but I joined several different. I joined a singles Bible study. They had a big church that had a whole community singles ministry. I joined that. I was doing Toastmasters. So, like, I was doing lots of different activities. And ideally, I would want to meet somebody that had common interests. So, I would want someone to be at the singles ministry and to talk to me and have a conversation and get to know me. I do think it's a finesse thing. I think you have to be careful because if you do look slimy if you're while we're praising, but if pre the activity, post the activity, can I sit beside you and then have some dialogue in between? I think you can meet people, and I think that makes for a better relationship because then you have commonalities, you create a friendship, and it's not just you look good, I'm attracted to you, and so I want to talk with you. And then as far as in Kansas City, my experience at least, when the guys at the gas station holler at you, it is not, can I pump your gas? It is, hey ma, and then continue to holla, 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 but they watching you pump your own gas. So I do remember the gas station hollers, but nobody was chivalrous enough to pump my gas. Don't don't. And it's
Even
I'm clueless. I am here for all of the insights because I don't know if I'm oblivious going about my life and so I don't see the telltale signs, or if I I'm just a little nerdy myself and so I don't flirt well. I don't know. So I'm here for all of the information.
Pastor Kim says, so how do we date in 2021? Because if you look at flirtation and flirting, it's been severely limited over the past, I say, 5-10 years. Like Nick says, you can't say, hey babe, can I pump your gas? And you be tasting pepper spray and everything else, and be escorted off the premises with free bracelets provided by the city. So I mean, how do we do this? What do we do? I mean, is it at the point that this is the best way we can date via technology? Can we approach people on the street? When the last time have you approached anyone in public? Go ahead.
I did have somebody approach me in public, and he asked for my number. I gave it to him. We talked back and forth for a bit. It didn't pan out to be anything, but I think that yes, at this point, like some of the things that you guys were mentioning, eye contact and just being open and out there, because I think that if you're not at this point, because we don't have as many opportunities to be coy and to run into the same people over and over again, you do have to be just kind of open and out there. And so that's one of the things that I'm challenging myself, is to try to be more open and out there. So I at this point, we just don't have as many opportunities to meet people casually. So you either have to meet them online or to seize your opportunity as soon as you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the COVID era, where we all mask up. First of all, you really can't see their faces pretty much. You can't see their smile or anything like that because you're masked up. But say, for instance, now, I have done in Walmart a few times where a sister was in front of me and she had a fairly large cart stuff in her cart, and I said to her, I said, "Oh, are you having a party, and can I come?" Just to break the ice, to see what she was saying, and so it's little things like that. But social distancing, you ain't trying to get up on nobody to talk to them and holler at them. They might got COVID. So right now, so in this era, until we get this beyond COVID-19, dating is basically it's not a good thing. I mean, you can holler at somebody online, do Zoom, Facebook Live, things of this type nature. You get to know somebody like that because when you're talking to somebody on video, they can't hide their expressions. I mean, you're gonna see what their eyes are doing. You're gonna see what their body language is like, and so it's kind of hard to pretend when a camera's on you, and you talking back and forth. You look up at the ceiling all the time, or you're looking at your phone, or you're looking at your TV, you're not looking at the screen. That tells me that I know you're not interested. So I just keep on going and move on. But in this day and age, I mean, where you gonna go? I mean, you ain't going to Olive Garden to meet nobody unless you are taking a risk and eating a restaurant. But I'm like, is it worth the risk trying to date somebody and catching COVID?
Hey, maybe you can both of y'all can get y'all vaccinations together. That'd be a good date.
Well, that's gonna be a mighty long time for my age group. We're talking perhaps the fall of the year before they get down to my age group. So that's a long time. I mean, people in their 70s and 80s, yeah, they're getting vaccinated, but 50s? It's gonna be a long time.
I just got vaccinated. I go for my second shot. 42.
Are you in the healthcare industry?
Well, no, ancillary. I work from home. They've opened up shots. We're kind of open here in Mississippi, but you just have to drive. You may have to get your shot and not in your county.
Oh. Well, that's a good meetup for a date, don't you think?
Hey, we're gonna go get a shot.
It's an interesting meetup, but
yeah. But listen, Jenna makes a good point. I miss dating as a teen. It was so much easier then. And see, my teenage years were in the 80s, okay? And back in high school, well, I was something else in high school, but that's a different story for the after party. But you see somebody you're interested in, you write the note, and then you fold it up and just hand it to them and say, will you do this or do that? Check yes or check no. And they give you a response back at 7th period or whatever. And then not only they would check yes, but they would put their phone number on there. Oh boy, I was high stepping then with that phone number on there. So I mean, it was fun back then. You could approach people, and I'm trying to think. Do I want to bring this up? I do it when it comes to the phone number. Somebody give you their phone number. How soon do you call? Anyone?
The same day.
The same day? Okay.
Within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours. Because I don't want to lose.
If they give me that number, then obviously they want you to call. To me, why would I give you my phone number if I don't want you to call me?
Right. Don't get the whole phone number and just be sitting on it waiting.
Well, yeah.
There's a problem here with giving numbers. Females.
What you say, Tia?
I said
females don't like to
you
give
play.
the first call.
What you say, Teal?
Yeah, what did you say?
I said if you wait too long, you're starting to play games. Like you're trying to
Yes.
be like,
Right.
I, if you meet somebody you're genuinely interested in them, call them because then they start to wonder, well, maybe they didn't like me. What was and why did they ask? Didn't really want to talk to me. Like I think it gets real.
Right.
And the first call should be a call, not a text. And
I get
people go from people will text forever. And that's not a conversation, we can't build a conversation off of texting and emojis.
Texting, it's taken away from, because you see sometimes when you text, your emotions are not sent with the text. So it is being taken out of context sometimes. Because I may text, hey you, but it sounds like hey you, like, okay, yeah. But then I'm over here saying, hey you, with a lot of meaning. And then your response would be something way. So texting, it's not that I don't like texting, but it's taken away from reality.
I guess I feel like whether the text or the call, their preferences, and it's not a right or wrong. I think it just, it's like anything. There's going to be trial and error. There's some people that the texting works best for. It's almost like I agree with Keena, what she says within 24 hours, because if I meet you at 9 o'clock, I may not call you until the next day when I get off from work. So I just think that, instead of having all the barriers because you don't know the person, the barriers that you shouldn't text me, you should call, whatever. I just think let's be like when we were kids. We accepted the note back when we were kids, which are fine. And it's kind of like today, texting is the end thing. It's the note today. I think let's get up with technology. And if you want someone and you have interest, make yourself reduce your barriers and make yourself accessible as possible. If you want someone, instead of closing the door, an open hand gets more than a closed fist.
Mhm.
So whether I text you, whether I message you, whatever means of communication, it's still communication. And so, to me, it's crazy to complain about the text when it's still a form of communication. The person doesn't know you. They don't know that you don't like that.
Right. Until you tell them.
Give that grace period until they get to know you, until y'all have a conversation.
Right.
But you hate that on a stranger.
I think the women in 2020 and 2021 are a lot different than they were back in the 80s. Women now don't necessarily wait on you to call them. They'll call you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll text you if they're interested. And that's a good thing because, life is too short to be out here guessing what folks want to do.
Right.
And to me, I don't have time for the drama. I ain't got time for the mess. If you're interested, say so. Don't be having me out here scratching my head, wondering, is she not? No, I ain't got time for that. Life is too short. You here today and gone today. So the thing about it is, if you're interested in somebody, quit playing the games. Let them know. If they accept you, fine. If they don't, there's another bus coming down the street.
Well, that's one of the funny things about whenever you were younger, and that's what you talk about dating as a teenager. Mike was talking about, when you're younger and you're dating, it's not as intentional. You're not thinking about it as long term. You're not thinking about all the variables. You're thinking about the moment. So the moment you see her, you like Keith Sweat. I want her. So I want her. So I'm gonna go talk to her. I want to see what's up with her. If she say no, she say no. She say yeah, she say yeah. And then if she say no, then you move on to the next person that you may feel like you want to talk to. But now we kind of see variables and we say, well, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. And, like I said, we talk about the call thing. You talk to them and you kind of place these parameters on relationships to people who don't really know. And, your facets get smaller or whatever. It becomes, tougher. And like Reggie was saying, now people, women are more apt to call you first or, go ahead and step first or whatever. I think that's wonderful because, like you said, life is too short. I always feel like you go after what you want in any other facet. So why not go after what you want in a relationship? Now, don't go after nobody that don't want you. But if you go after a job you want, you go after a car you want, you go after a house you want, you go after the relationship with God you want. So, of course, you would go after the relationship romantically you would want.
Okay. Diane Ford says, I don't like talking on the phone unless there is really something to discuss. When you just meet someone, you may not want a long conversation. The first half of that statement, that kind of describes me. But the second half of that statement, when you just meet someone, well, I think that initial conversation should be a good lengthy so you can get to know that person, especially at that part though. And you can see whether or not you want to pursue that even further. Am I alone in this?
But I don't think I think we tend to make it the polars, the right or wrong. Dating is individualized.
Right.
It just depends. It's preference. My preference or my conviction is not yours. My style is unique to Victor Louis Foyles. And so when I'm trying to interact with the young lady, then I'm going to try to get a feel like that chemistry, that vibe, that connection to see what's acceptable, with her and knowing her. So texting may be fine for her. The call may be fine. It's not a right or wrong. It's, that was the thing about kids. When we were younger, we didn't have the restrictions. We kind of picked up on vibes a lot better when we were younger. We discerned stuff a lot better. We now had experiences with the insecurities. If you call me, if it's like this, I just met you, you just met me. We're not committed. I don't have certain expectations that you got to call me within this time frame and that time frame. I just met you, Sally. You just met Victor. I just don't have those. That's where disappointment comes in when we impose or project these unrealistic or these self-centered expectations that may not be universal. It's not right or wrong. It's kind of like be open to people. If you want a relationship, be open. Show yourself how to be open. There's a pastor I had, he used to use this joke, blessed are the flexible. And some people just learn how to be flexible and understand the diversity of people, and people have different backgrounds. So if the guy happened to come to you, or if the woman comes and it appears to be in your eyes lustful, it may not be lustful in their eyes. They're trying to make an effort. Let's look beyond what we think and take it for the value in what it is. Because what we're doing is we're projecting stuff off of us, not based off the person. And so, let's just be open. That's the reason why some of us probably still single, because we ain't open. The gas station man, some people may think they're too good for the gas station man. So it's kind of like, just be open. If you want a relationship, be open.
Yeah.
Sherry says, it seems a lot of men really would prefer calling the woman first. I think they feel that she's thirsty if she calls first. That's unfortunate. She just may simply be interested.
But that's just like V. That's just like V was just talking about. You know, those men are closing themselves off to what could possibly be a great woman because she called them first.
But,
you know what I'm saying?
But let's be real. Let's be real, Nick. If somebody, if you interested, and she makes the first move, I wouldn't call you thirsty.
Yeah.
I don't call you thirsty if I'm not interested in you. The bottom line is they're really not interested.
Right, because you make an excuse to say that this ain't gonna work. Right, yeah.
They're not interested. That's the bottom line.
Because if I gave her my number and she calls the number, I'm looking at the phone like, word, okay, that's what's up. I'm not looking at, oh, she called me. I wonder why she called me first. No. It's not the Olympics. I'm not judging her on her. You know what I mean? It was we forming a relationship here. I'm feeling her out. She's feeling me out. You know, and then like her dismount was kind of off, so I don't know. You know, you can't do that. You just mess up and you lose out on people.
Carla says, I think first time conversations are important. I do too, because that's the opportunity to find out if you have common interests and if your personalities go together. Absolutely right there. Yes.
Donna said something. She said it depends on your energy, right? Because I think that's a piece of this puzzle. What Biel was saying is that, you know, if I have a conversation and we're vibing, the conversation is going to naturally go longer because what you're saying interests me, what I'm saying interests you, and so then we find some commonalities. So then we look up and time has gone by. But if we're just on the phone and birds are chirping, then not so much am I gonna keep calling you on the phone. You know, I might revert back to texting because you ain't got nothing to talk about. I ain't got nothing to talk about. Why am I gonna hold the phone? But I think that when you connect with someone, then you do put forth effort. You do want to have a conversation. You do want to hear if they're excited to hear your voice like you're excited to hear. So I think it's totally different. I could be my presentation, depending on the man, can be totally different. I can be real casual, or I can be, you know, real giggly and excited. Depends on the guy.
Right.
I think that first conversation is important. First of all, so you can find out can even hold a conversation. And that goes both ways, not just male, but can the female handle a conversation? Can she talk? You know, because you're a female automatically means you can hold a conversation. So I got to know, you know, variety of topics that I might throw out to see where your head's at. I might ask you about where you serve at, as far as church is concerned. I might ask, do you like sports? What's your favorite sports team? I might ask you about politics. I might ask you about Trump. I'm gonna ask you about something else to see where your head is at. Because if you can't, if you're not engaged in what's going on in society as well as the church, then you're not a well-rounded individual. And so I'm not gonna be bothered with somebody that I can't have a conversation with. If I want to talk about politics, you can talk about politics because you know somebody. If she knows something about the proper protocol in church, or if she got a job, you know, what you do on her job. Tell me about your job. What do you do? Kind of get a feel, because basically, if you can't hold a decent conversation on a telephone, then we ain't really got much to say. Because, you know, if it goes that level of intimacy, if you in the bedroom doing your do, but when you come out, you ain't got nothing to talk about. No, it's a mess.
But I think at the same token, it depends on how we meet, makes a world of difference. Because if you're doing online dating or you interact with someone off a site, it's totally different than you're interacting with someone on a face-to-face encounter. So at least how I feel when I'm interacting with someone and I'm meeting them offline, when a person I learn a lot from their writing, then I may miss from their verbal conversation. So I think it's a difference, because if people saying they're looking to see how intelligent a person is, you learn more, in my opinion, you learn more intelligence through the writings than you do through the verbal conversations. Because you can see if it's a run-on sentence or different things that happen. So it's not, like I keep saying, it is not a right or wrong, it is a preference, which is a difference. It's my conviction, it's my preference, it's my right, but it's not a right or wrong. It's just, the fundamentals of communication. There's some people who are good visual learners, there's some people kinetic learners, there's some people auditory learners. There are different learning styles, and we can't make the cookie cutters in this diverse world that we live in. It's having to realize the whole thing about love languages and stuff. There's diversity, and we got to learn how to embrace some diversity with people that we interact with, especially the person we don't know. It's just like flirting. We talked about flirting and compliments. Many times, if you're listening to this conversation, we've used them interchangeably, because we interpret it as one thing and it may mean something else. And it's like, we got to begin to look at people as an individual, because one thing, it may mean something to you that it may not mean to the other person.
And you said run-on sentences, okay. There's so true. You have to be racially different. Well, it was one I wanted to read out. Well, I'll do this one right here. Some guys are really nice, but they have poor communication skills and are socially awkward, very flat affects. I don't like to carry the conversation. If I have to, then it's probable that I'll lose interest. Well, I quickly lose interest. So,
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate being in a conversation or relationship. It's like getting a good conversation. It's like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit a girl. I quit a woman over that. I feel bad about it, but
She was fine her person.
we
I
had
said
a
the same thing.
we had a great time when we went out on dates and watched movies, but on the phone it was painful. I mean, it was terrible. That's all I got to say. But and I'm gonna say this one right here. Laverne says, with me, we're going to talk first real quick, so I could hear his voice. He can hear mine. I could feel him out. Then from there, we'll know if we're going to continue talking. So you could tell it that quick? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
First 15 minutes. First 15 minutes. A lot of times is when I can figure out, okay, are you going to be a friend? And not even just a friend or a romantic relationship, just someone I would like to know. If you have all types of curse words, throughout, through your conversation, or just a lot of slang that I'm not used to, and I have to, look up Urban Dictionary. I don't know what you're talking about. or talking about something, or talking about something that I have absolutely no interest. I remember this guy, he was very sweet, but he was all into wrestling, and he was like, he was really into it, and I could tell because he spent 30 minutes talking about it, and didn't even realize he was on the phone with somebody else. And I said, "Well, that's real interesting. Well, I have work in the morning, so you have a good night."
Oh wow. Well, on that note, y'all, we're out of time. On that note, we're out of time. So I get us with the announcements. Stay tuned for the after party. It's on Zoom, and we'll put the link up. in a few shakes, and hopefully you can join us and we can finish the conversation there. This past Saturday's after party, it was great. It was great. You know, the county sheriff had to come and shut us down though. So we had a good time. And this coming Saturday, tentatively, it'll be shoot your shot tentatively. So if it's something changes between now and then, I'll let y'all know ahead of time. But make sure you join us. And of course, next week, join us for another edition of Tuesday Talk, Lord willing. And we will close out. Like I said, we don't have a menu though. So we order from Ed's Rib Shack and bring y'all something. Y'all with that?
As long as they got some seafood, we all right.
We got it. We got you taken care of. Okay, good.
Barbecue shrimp.
That we got you. And a quick question. It's a blank. It's a match game question. And y'all remember, it's no right or wrong answer. Just fill in the blank what you think it is. Okay. And here we go. Shay won so much at the slot machine that she had to stuff the cash in her pockets, her purse, and even into her blank.
Bra.
You say bra?
Yeah, bra. Sock.
Bro.
Yeah.
Pants. I don't know. Okay, I mean it is what y'all think it is though. Oh, everybody's saying bosom and everything. Look at this.
Bra. It's gotta be bra.
The shoes. Bra. Wait a minute, check this out, y'all. Wig.
I thought about that wig too.
Oh, wait, Carla. Carla got a good one. Oh, no, not that one. I mean, they coming in quick too. Hold on, y'all. No, these coming in right. Okay, wait, hold on. Not that one. Oh man. Well, she said butt crack. So anyway, wow. I know. Under her weave, back of the pants. Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Right. There you go. Butt crack. So anyway, though. So anyway, glad to have. Wait, let me take this down. Glad to have y'all here. Thank you to the panelists for being here. As always, you help make the show a success. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And thank you for watching us. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see you at the after party. We appreciate y'all. And if there's nothing else, then we'll see you next time. Okay. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night.
Let's take some time and think for a minute. What's going on? And are we with it? I got no phone calls made, but if no one calls, it's another day. How can I explain to you what I feel and what is true? And how can I do my best